What's going on, everyone? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas with you. We are talking about the potential for severe weather. We have some nasty storms pretty much rolling on the west coast, the Gulf Coast of Florida right now. All of Central Florida is in a tornado watch. I want to show you where that is 1 second, and then we're going to get it right to the radar as we do have our first severe thunderstorm warning of the day. This is going to be closer to Tampa with a few nasty cells. We are taking a live look now in downtown Orlando. It is gray. It is muggy. You can certainly feel it. If you do live in Florida, you likely saw a ridiculously pretty sunrise. Again, that's not so much a good thing. That age-old saying, red sky in morning, sailor take warning. And that is going to hold true again as we already have some nasty weather moving into parts of Central Florida, specifically in and around Ocala at this time in Marion County with some light to moderate rain. Nothing too concerning at this point. The most concerning stuff is going to be to the west of us in Tampa, and I'm going to get to that 1 second. There is the tornado watch, again, really from about Cedar Key down to St. Pete through Tampa, including Polk County, all of Central Florida interior down the I-4 corridor from Palm Coast, down 95 into Daytona Beach, and then into Seminole County, Orange County, Kissimmee, Osceola County, Brevard as well, and then that extends into southwest Florida. I'm going to switch a few things around every now and then. Again, post where you're watching from. If you are enjoying this content, if you are finding this informative, please give this a thumbs up. It allows YouTube to push this out more. And again, if you're watching from clickorlando.com, welcome. Again, we're tracking the strong thunderstorm potential as it starts to move on through. All right, I am going to switch my radar sources or my computer sources here, and we are going to get right into tracking some of this nasty weather. Right now, I am showing you the radar out of Jacksonville. We're getting very, very high into the sky, so we're not seeing much clarity in terms of the storms out by Tampa just yet. But I wanted to show you some of the light to moderate rain in and around Palm Coast, Daytona Beach, Deltona, the Villages, Leesburg. If you're seeing the rain there, nothing really to be concerned with at this time. That may change over the next couple of hours. I'm going to switch to the radar out of Tampa, and you see the reds start to pop up. So this is what we're going to be concerned with here. Let me turn on the warnings that we have. That big red blotch you see there, that is the tornado watch, which means, again, conditions are favorable for the development of tornadoes. So again, difference between watch and warning. A warning means that it is imminent or it is happening. And that's where we have a warning around Spring Hill to the north of Tampa. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for Hernando County until 10:45 in the morning. So again, not a tornado warning, a severe thunderstorm warning, but there is the potential for these to spin. I want to show you this, too. We've been watching these all morning long, and these are supercellular thunderstorms in structure. What that means is that they have the likelihood, and they are rotating. They are rotating updrafts in those thunderstorms. And you see this little marker here that just popped up. It is the computer showing us, before we even do any inspection of this storm, that we do, in fact, have rotation. So, again, this is going to be an early heads up to Newport Richey, to Jasmine Estates, and Bayonet Point. This is north of Tampa. Again, for reference, I will zoom back out. And show you where exactly this is. Let me put this in perspective. I'll turn on some telestration. Here is Lakeland. Here is Tampa. The nastiest weather is just getting to roll on the coast. That's going to be north of Clearwater, north of St. Pete. Here's the thing, though. Here is the thing. You see this little guy here, that is a supercell thunderstorm. Down here at the bottom of your screen here, that is also a supercell thunderstorm. So these are the storms that we are concerned with that will have the potential to produce tornadoes once they get on land. So really, again, if you are watching from Pinellas County, if you're watching from Hernando County, where we do have a severe thunderstorm warning, all of this mess is going to be working into your area over the next hour. And I'll clean up that telestration, and we're going to do some inspecting of those cells. Again, everybody in Central Florida, in interior Central Florida, well, it's raining along the northwest of I-4. It's pretty tame right now. It's pretty gentle. We like that. I'm going to turn on a different radar perspective here. This is the velocity mode, as we call it. The radar can see the way that the wind is blowing some of the meteorological objects in there, and that's how we can determine if the storm is, in fact, rotating. So I'm going to take it closer into Bayonet Point, and there's a little bit here. Again, what we're looking at, the red means that there is wind blowing away from the radar. The radar site is down near Tampa, so we have wind going that way, and then we have wind going that way. It is very broad. It is very weak, so we're not imminently talking about the tornado potential here west of Spring Hill at the moment. Where we are more concerned, and the interesting thing to watch here over the next hour or so is to how well these things hold together. I would bet a lot of money right now where this thing is, this little marker here, that's that early indication that the computer gives us that there's something weird going on here, that this thing is spinning. I'm going to zoom in closer here. Let me actually turn that thing off. Stand by, please, so we can get in there and show you some of what exactly is going on in this storm. So let me turn that off. This is where we would be most concerned. This is a tornado vortex signature, which means that there is a likely, well, water spout in this case, because this is over the Gulf of Mexico. But this is a very, very tight couplet. And again, this is the wind going away from the Tampa radar, wind going towards. So I would bet a lot of money that there is a water spout in the Gulf of Mexico. Again, it's not hurting anything right now, but the trend would be to watch this over the next 45 minutes to an hour or so. And I'm going to turn back on the early indication thing because it helps to give us, when we're kind of bouncing around from storm cell to storm cell here, what is going on. That early heads up is key. All right, so let me get back down into, I'll show you the actual radar. We are going to go back to Jacksonville for a second, since again, those storms at the moment aren't impacting anything, just a fish. Hopefully there's no boaters out there, and they took note that there is a tornado watch in play. But for those that are just joining us either on clickorlando.com or on the News 6 app, welcome. We are tracking the chance for severe weather. There is a tornado watch in play for everybody in Central Florida until 4 o'clock into the afternoon. If you are watching on YouTube, also welcome. Give this a thumbs up. It helps YouTube push this out a little bit more so more people can see it and kind of alert them of some potentially dangerous weather. Again, there is a tornado watch for a lot of Florida. And also you can post in the comments where you are tuning in from, whether that be Florida or somewhere else. And again, if you're watching from anywhere in the Deep South, we're thinking about you. I know it's been a rocking couple of days, a very destructive couple of days. This is kind of that last gasp of severe weather with this particular system that is going to blow off of the East Coast today and then finish off with a lot of heavy snow in the Northeast today, tomorrow, and then Saturday. Anyway, back to the more imminent threat. Again, there's nothing too terribly concerning that I'm seeing right now. The worst of the weather in Florida is right along the Gulf Coast. Again, you see that darker red there. I'm going to turn on the lightning, and there is a lot of lightning around. So that is something that we're going to have to contend with. Let me look in here and see. So we just checked this a little bit ago. The rotation is there. This is a supercell thunderstorm, but it wasn't very tight. Over the last 5 minutes since the last time we inspected this cell, it has started to tighten up just a little bit. So this is going to be, again, I'll put a little track on here to just kind of see what is going on. It kind of breaks down what is happening in this cell. And basically here, I'm going to put on a tracker for you. So this is the most concerning part of this, and it's getting tighter by the minute. And when I say tighter here, for there to be that tornado vortex signature, and I'm going to zoom back out, and I'm going to show you real quick the difference. Notice how that one's kind of broad. Let me get the lightning out of the way. Notice how this one is much tighter. The greens and reds are right up against each other. Again, you don't want the radar map to look like Christmas with the red and green colors here, because that is indication that we do have some pretty strong rotation in the mix. So again, just keep that in mind for you this morning. Just looking at some of the comments, some people are saying the chat is not working, so we'll take a look at that for the next time that we go live. But we might be on here for a very long time. So do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button if you are watching from YouTube. If you're watching from clickorlando.com, welcome. We are now focused on the Gulf Coast of Florida. And what this is showing us here is that we do have an evolving situation here. There is, quote-unquote, just a severe thunderstorm warning. And again, we never want to just say just a severe thunderstorm. I know that's a common misconception. These things can cause damage, of course. But looking towards here, I don't see... We've been watching this tighten up. The reds and greens aren't too terribly close together here north of Bayonet Point. But what I want to do is I want to put a little tracker on this for you. There's not much population in the way, thankfully, for this. But we're going to watch that closely. This cell here, let me turn back off. I'm going to show you some other perspective here. We have great radar technology here at News 6 and clickorlando.com. And you see that yellow here, that yellow, we call that a skit marker here. It kind of highlights where the worst of the weather is. That yellow one is really concerning because it is also seeing that there is some very strong rotation. And again, I want to just be clear here. Right now, this is over the Gulf of Mexico. So this is not hurting anything except the fish. So this is going to stay out here for the next, I would say, 15 to 20 minutes. But we may end up seeing a tornado warning issued for Elfers, part of Pinellas County, into Holiday, Tarpon Springs, East Lake, Palm Harbor, because of this guy. And actually, it's probably moving more. I'll put that into motion here. We can kind of see those bright greens really pop up. So, yeah, in and around Holiday, Elfers, Newport Richey, this is kind of an early heads up, and we're going to watch that closely for you guys if anybody's tuning in from the Gulf Coast of Florida, because this cell here continues to look more and more impressive by the minute. Make sure those arrows are back on. That kind of helps us all out as we are tracking this weather alongside you and with you this afternoon. Another radar tool here, I'm going to turn that back on. And notice how this just got even brighter, that bright green. We have very, very strong winds blowing towards the radar, blowing away from the radar. That is your tornado vortex signature. If there was a tornado, in this case, it'd be a water spout. That's a big indication that we do have one going on. So now I want to go back to the Tampa radar. And here's another perspective that kind of removes all of the noise, those reds and greens. This is the radar kind of pinpointing where, in fact, we have rotation. So it kind of removes all that noise again with the red and green, and you see that big blotch. Let me clean up some of this stuff on the radar so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Note and we just kind of showed you this here before. Note where we have that brown color, again, on the scale there, that strong rotation being picked up. It was right where we were just looking. And again, that is going to be heading towards Holiday. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a tracker on this. Again, there is no tornado warning. There's no severe thunderstorm warning. The trends will be monitored. The Weather Service is the issuer of all of the warnings that you do. So we're kind of at the mercy for that. But we can give you an early heads up when we see something concerning, and we're going to be watching now as this gets close to land over the next 15 minutes or so. This should be very, very close to the Gulf Coast of Florida, and I am going to put a tracker on it. It's moving up in this direction. So again, this is your early heads up. I want you to be paying extremely close attention. If you happen to be tuning in from Holiday, Florida, Elfers, Florida, Newport Richey, Port Richey, and Jasmine Estates, within the next 10 to 20 minutes, we're going to have a very nasty thunderstorm overhead that if this rotation holds, and that's going to be the question, where we could have the potential for a tornado to develop. So again, just keep that in mind, that we will have that opportunity over the next little bit. I'm going to go back to the Tampa radar, And when I say go back to the Tampa radar, radar can only see, quote unquote, so far away, about 125 miles. So every now and then you're going to see me bounce around from the radar in Tampa, the radar over here in Melbourne, and then the radar way up here at the top of your screen now in Jacksonville to kind of look at the different perspectives here so that we can break down these storm cells as they get to the more favorable radar so that we can give you guys a nice heads up. Let me clear off my telestration. Let me see here. Let me check to see if there's something going on with the comments, because I have a couple of comments like that. If I think they might be on now. If you're watching from here, post in the comments for me. Okay, so now we are seeing some of the comments pop up. Okay, awesome. Perfect. Thank you guys for helping me out there and testing out the comments. Let's see here. Hirad Roblox says, good things not in Florida. Yeah, it could be a little nasty for sure. All right. So as we go on through here, I'm going to break down some of these comments, some questions here. Might disappear, hopefully not in Brevard County. Sounds like northern Florida is going to get it. Well, we are in the tornado watch in Brevard County, so I want to make that clear. I do think, though, the severe weather threat is going to dissipate the further east of Orlando you are. So I also want you to know that. But I wouldn't completely let your guard down for that. You said you are watching from Palm Bay. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the stream. And again, if you are finding this channel informative as we track this weather, please give this a thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, it sends it out to more people so that we can kind of alert everybody in Central Florida what is going on. And if you aren't subscribed and you are finding this YouTube channel in a way for the first time, we would love to have you on board. Hit that subscribe button to Click Orlando, and then you'll continue to get weather updates. If you're watching from clickorlando.com on our live stream and on News 6 and News 6 Plus, of course, welcome. All right, so we're going to get back down here and check. Good morning. We're going to keep a close eye on that for you. It looks like where you are watching in from, it's more of a tame rain at this point. So there's nothing concerning where we are getting that rain. So I want to let you know that. You know, it could. I don't think it's going to dissipate in an hour, but as this line of thunderstorms moves on through, that will be the trend. There's a lot of the wind energy that was really responsible for going into this multi-day tornado outbreak in the deep south that is lifting to the north. That's lifting away from Florida. So there's one last little push here over the next couple of hours that it's going to be an environment conducive here for the development of tornadoes. I don't think they're going to be as intense or big as what we saw certainly around Louisiana yesterday. Certainly in Mississippi, Alabama, places like Texas, Oklahoma over the last couple of days. So I don't think it's going to be as intense as that. But nonetheless, a tornado, even a weak one, can do a lot of damage. What's going on, Kevin? Good morning in Lakeland. Hope you are doing well this morning as we are watching all this weather. We're going to have a pretty decent shot here at bad weather in Lakeland. The closer to the Gulf of Mexico you are, the better shot that you are going to have for some severe weather. All right, so we're going to turn on the plain old radar, the reflectivity as we call it, and we're going to inspect these. Again, some very nasty storms here with a lot of lightning in and around Spring Hill. These have yet to really get to the I-75 corridor. Newport Richey, we are about to start to see some even nastier weather. We are still in a severe thunderstorm warning for the potential for damaging winds at the moment. All right, so we're going to go back into the velocity mode. And the good thing is that the most concerning part of the storm, they have the tendency to rotate out at sea, and then the couplets are kind of falling apart as they push land. So those are the two big supercell thunderstorms that I was concerned with, and they don't look very concerning right now on the Gulf Coast of Florida. So that's some great news. That is some really great news. We're going to keep a close eye on that one, though. Thank you. I appreciate that. Miss G, that is exactly what we are looking at, my friend. We are looking at the radar. We're just in a different mode to look to see if there's anything concerning inside. The reflectivity is what I think you mean, and there it is. And that just kind of, that's just something that we look to inspect further, because this only tells part of the story when you're looking at just what we have on screen right now. But what I'm going to do is we are going to take you on kind of a radar tour. We're going to zoom out, and you see that, again, we're going to be in this for a little bit of time. That line extends way down to the southwest of Bradenton, I should say. And as we move east, we're going to see the potential again for the nasty weather to go on through. Sorry about that. Just went to the wrong mode here. All right, we're back. Not on the black. All right, so here we go. Jessica just asked, did you see a water spout on the water? The answer to that is no, but I'm confident that what happened, that there was a water spout. It was just way too far out, and way too far out in the Gulf of Mexico to really see it unless you had a boat out there. But anyway, no, those green spots, certainly, yeah, and that's the trend, and that's what we like to see here, that them kind of fall apart as they look towards land. There's a little more oomph out over the Gulf of Mexico, a little more instability for those storms to take advantage of. The one thing is, and again, I'll show you a live look, at least how it looks in Orlando, and that what you're seeing there on the top of your screen is a live look in Orlando, Florida. This is certainly something that you would want to see. You don't want to see sunshine in the morning. You want to see a fog and the drizzle and the thick overcast here. That does help to keep the instability down. It didn't mean much in the south over the past couple of days because we just had so much in the way of dynamic energy that it could overcompensate for some of the lack of the juice, if you will, in the atmosphere. This is a little bit of a different story. So I want to show you here. This just popped up on the screen. And this is the storm that we were just talking about that had the history of kind of spinning out there. But a new severe thunderstorm warning just issued that includes Tarpon Springs. That's going to be Pasco County, Florida. And then, of course, the waters out west. So we do have all of these guys here are supercellular in nature. These are just, they're not your typical ones that you would see out in the plains. They're kind of hidden in a line of thunderstorms right on in here. And then here's another one down here. And again, we're getting a little far from the radar, so it's kind of hard to see. But if I kind of pull that out, I'm going to turn on some of the other radar tools that we have. And we have certainly lost. So the radar here is still suggesting, you see this little yellow cylinder thing pop up? That's when it's picking up on some rotation in the central part of the atmosphere. So we are looking pretty high up in the atmosphere now. But what we are seeing here is still the radar looking at that rotation. What I'm going to do, we're going to inspect this ourselves. I am going to go click on the Tampa radar. We're going to go to velocity scale again. I'm not seeing much in the way of any reds popping up. It's a good thing. It's not good, per se, when you're talking about the potential for damaging winds, damaging straight line winds, but I'm not seeing anything going in different directions right now. So some positive news, because it was looking ugly out over the Gulf of Mexico about 20 minutes ago when we were all watching together. It is my hope that that is going to be the trend that since this cold front came through and since this line of storms is coming through late in the morning into the early afternoon that the atmosphere really didn't have a chance to get juiced up. What needs to happen is in a situation like this is kind of have to build up some of that instability, some of that fuel for these storms to work with. We just weren't able to do that. They need to get kind of tall to take advantage of some of the dynamics that are left over from our multi-day severe weather outbreak. And the good news is, so far anyway, the trend has been for these to kind of weaken just a little bit as they move on shore, at least the spin in the atmosphere to weaken a little bit as they move on shore. We do have some nasty thunderstorms out here. And again, every now and then we're going to go through a bunch of different tools to really dissect this.
This will be home to community
for you.
soldiers,
Certainly there's still some rotation being
survivors.
picked up here, and we're looking at the shear.
This is where Orlando goes pink.
This is where every seat
And again, bear with me, because as we are doing this
You're not just buying
all
a
together
ticket,
here,
you're helping find a
I'm just
cure.
going to kind of work through
Join us here.
and look at a bunch of different things at the same time right alongside you. So that's why sometimes I'm kind of bouncing around. I want to inspect all of this. From a storm relative perspective, we do have a little bit of spin. Let me go back to... And there's a little bit. All right, so right around New Port Richey and Port Richey, right in here... we have just a little bit. You see where that drops out? Right in here, just a little bit. It is very weak. It is very broad. Not too concerning, but I'm liking the trend in the short term here. That while we have these concerning supercells that are rotating tightly and rotating strongly out over the Gulf, as they move closer to land, they kind of fall apart. And there's a couple of reasons for that. There's not a ton of instability in Florida, at least in the state of Florida. Out over the Gulf of Mexico, we have a little bit more. We still have a decently warm Gulf out there that's helping to fuel these thunderstorms a little bit. And what is happening is we have these storms moving in, and they're moving into a, I don't want to say more stable environment, still unstable, but it's not as bad as it is out there. So what we're seeing is we are seeing that other storms kind of weaken a little bit as they move on shore. Still could cause some damage. As you see that yellow polygon there, a severe thunderstorm warning. So again, in the short term, I am liking what I'm seeing. Still though, all right, so you see this marker pop back up around Spring Hill. We're going to go check that out. We're going to go dissect this. All right, so we do have some strong shear popping back up here. And yeah, all right, so this is, unfortunately, this is going to be the strongest cell on land. So we had that marker pop back up, and then there is one of our tighter couplets again. So I would not be surprised if we are going to see a tornado warning issued here. Here's the deal. That BTI number you see there, the higher the number, the better chance it is that the radar is kind of forecasting there. The radar technology that we have here at clickorlando.com and News 6, it can kind of estimate what it thinks that the percentages that we get a tornado to develop. And that the higher the number there, the better opportunity, unfortunately, we have. So I'm going to take all of these tools off because we're going to get in here ourselves and do some dissecting. I'm going to zoom back out. Again, I want you to know that there is no tornado warning here. Okay? I want you to know that it is moving. So we have a question here from the Hurricane Geek. I lost my ability to kind of pull you over to kind of display your comment, but I'm seeing the comment here. Why moving so westerly? Most of the time, we do have these move from west to east. Specifically, supercells and tornadoes. It's not all the time, but most of the time, we do have the motion from southwest to northeast. So it moves from west to east. That's the way that the general flow is across the country, to move things west to east. And that is where we have right now the dip in the jet stream kind of doing that. So we have the storm motion out and about like that. So it is moving pretty typical of a thunderstorm. All right. So what I am going to do here is we are going to see if they right there is the most concerning part. You see where those reds and greens are butted up together. Hit the thumbs up button if you see that. Just so I know that we're all kind of on the same page. We're tracking this together here. Let me put a timer on this for you. So there's the most concerning part of the storm. It's probably going to be moving in that 30 to 40 mile per hour ballpark again. There is nothing really in the way, but this is going to be heading towards. We're going to get real close in here. All right, we're going to get right up into this neighborhood. Again, we don't have a tornado warning per se, but we could be in the developing stages here of a tornado in Hernando County. Certainly, we have a nasty thunderstorm at the very least. What we're looking at here is the green color representing where we have the wind blowing toward the radar, and then where we have the wind blowing away from the radar. So there is your developing rotation here from this supercell thunderstorm. I'm going to take us back out, and certainly the storm is much more intense. Okay, so this is something, too. One of the things that we look for an intensifying storm, the lightning activity has really bulked up. If I turn the lightning back off, we have that purple showing up, indicating that we might have some hail involved now. So those are some of the things, and those are the trends that are a negative trend for us, and we could be talking about something potentially developing. So let me go back to Tampa. We're going to watch this again. We're watching this closely. I'm going to try while we're doing this. We're going to stay right here. I'm going to try to pull back the comments, so bear with me. I'm going to keep this area circled right in here. That's the worst of the weather. Again, I know it might be a stretch to have somebody tuning in right from Hernando County. But if you're watching from Sumter County as well, if you're watching us live on YouTube and clickorlando.com, Sumter County, we're still a little ways away from the worst part, Webster, Lake Panasoffkee, and Bushnell. We are under that severe thunderstorm warning, though, and I know the line might be a little hard to see. Here's where Sumter County starts. So Bushnell, Webster, while we're right on the edge anyway of that severe thunderstorm warning, but I want you to be paying close attention to this. If you don't have a weather app, the Pinpoint weather app is a great tool to kind of track these storms alongside us. So you can download that app. It's a free app. It's called the Pinpoint weather app. Then you can kind of see some of the things. That we are seeing as well. So let me try to pull back in comments here. So bear with me. I'm just going to stop talking. I really have a hard time to to do two things at once. I don't know if you guys are like that or not. Can focus on some things, but I'm adding back in the chat here so that we can have more of a conversation, because I accidentally deleted it when I was going through some stuff and pushing stuff all around. So bear with me for just a little bit. All right, I think we are back. Let me see if it's working. All right, we are back in business. So comment away where you are watching from. If you're watching us on YouTube and you're finding this informative, please hit that thumbs up button. It helps YouTube find this and push it back out to more people, so we can kind of give them an early heads up here. I am going to All right. Leesburg. Hey, what's going on in Leesburg? All right, so yeah, I want you to pay attention to this one. The trend with this is going to be to kind of get close to you as it moves off to the east from southwest to northeast. So right now there are no other, replying to the Hurricane Geek, there are no other local radar sites in this area. So the only one that we have the opportunity to use is the National Weather Service one. All of the TV stations down here are closer to Tampa. And then, of course, where we are in Orlando, we don't have that ability either to see that far out. So we are kind of looking out of the Tampa radar. Once it gets closer to an airport, we can use the airport ones. But again, we're kind of like right in the middle here. I don't want to say complete radar dead zone, and we're seeing it pretty good, I think, from the Tampa radar. So let's check back in. New scan comes in every couple of minutes. We are still watching that here. We are still seeing some pretty strong shear as estimated by the computer, but I mean, we are seeing it right on the money. And again, anytime you see this little circle pop up, anytime you see that pop up, it does seem to be getting bigger. It's getting more lightning into it. It's getting a stronger hail core. It's becoming to be that look. And this is something we call an embedded supercell. It is a supercell thunderstorm. But what we're really seeing here is these kind of embedded, and we are starting to get that look more. Let me turn all this other stuff off real quick. Sometimes I just clutter the screen, and it's kind of hard to see. That's the other thing about this, too, is that we will likely have these things be rain-wrapped. There's going to be a lot of rain with this, so don't go out and try to see it. Down to St. Pete Beach, we are quiet right now. Here we are at the bottom, closer to the bottom of your screen. We're going to be watching all of this mess out here. So we're still maybe about 45 minutes to an hour and a half. In Plant City, we are going to be watching that one close for you. Right now, all is quiet, but we are still, again, into that tornado watch until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Daytona Beach, we're going to go check in on you. Right now, everything is just how we like it. Nice and gentle. There's nothing severe. There's nothing concerning. And the longer we see it rain like this, the longer we see the clouds and kind of that dreary afternoon or dreary morning, the better it is that we will have the opportunity to not see bad weather, because it's really limiting the instability for these storms to work with. What's going on in Hernando, Michael? Okay, so there we go. So you just saw that red pop up. So we were tracking this right alongside you, and we thought that we might be able to get that a tornado warning was coming. We talked about that 5 or 10 minutes ago, out ahead of the actual tornado warning. This may officially include Sumter now. It does include Sumter, so we do have a tornado warning for Sumter County. If anybody is listening in the newsroom, tornado warning for Sumter County. So there is the strongest part of this cell is outside of Sumter. It's in Hernando. So Michael, if you can tell me exactly where you are watching from in Hernando, we will inspect that and kind of track that into where you are. I'm going to get back to the Tampa radar, go into the velocity look to see that rotation. It does not look as pronounced as even what it was before, but the computer, again, still showing this. The warning is until 11:30. 11:30. So every now and then you might just hear me yell into the newsroom, just letting our news people know that we do have a tornado warning out there. Sarah in Oviedo, we are nice and quiet right now. That could change. And again, what we hoped would not happen is unfortunately happening here, because we are seeing rotation, hold together. It fell apart a little bit right along the Gulf Coast and then kind of tightened back up again. So that's something that we are going to watch going forward here over the little bit. Sonia asks if this is heading towards Daytona Beach. It is heading in that direction. I mean, it is. So, again, for some perspective here, here's us in Daytona Beach up at the top right. The most concerning part of this storm way back in Hernando, it is going to be heading in this direction. It will likely weaken, though. The front is moving. It is moving rather slow. That's why some of the colder air behind this is going to lag a little bit. Once we get out of this dangerous weather, I'll show you the water vapor imagery to show you where that dry air is that's going to come blasting on through a little bit later tonight. So, again, be prepared in Florida. It is going to get really, really cold out there. But, again, here is the live look outside. And in Orlando, that live image you see just above my head is downtown Orlando. It is gray. It's a little ugly outside. And again, we'll take that. It lowers our severe chances, relatively speaking. We're still in a relatively dynamic atmosphere, though. Tornado warn out. You got it. Right in here, Jerry. And I'm not sure if you are in Hernando or not. But that's right now where this is. So we're going to go in. If you are, let me just, again, if you're watching on clickorlando.com or on the News 6 app, first of all, welcome. If you are watching in Sumter County, the extreme western edge is included in this warning. Again, the most intense part of this storm is not in Sumter just yet. So you might be wondering what is going on. It is going to be raining there, light to moderate at this time. The worst of this weather, though, is going to be back to our south and west. So let me turn on the storm relative velocity. Let me turn on the velocity and make sure that, let's see what's going on here. Yeah, so to me, anyway, this looks a little... And then, yeah... mentioning about the CC drop, and I'll move this out of the way so I can see you guys. What he's talking about, a CC drop, is the radar can confirm if we have a tornado on the ground. You don't need a storm chaser. You don't need law enforcement to confirm it these days because radar technology is so good. Certainly that helps because a lot of times they get missed. There was a strong velocity couplet. Certainly we're not seeing the CC drop out anymore. And things have improved a little bit. Now, one of the things that we are going to watch here is going to be the trend going forward to see if this couplet tightens back up again on the way into Sumter County. And if that's going to be the case, we're probably going to have an ugly, long day ahead. If this kind of falls apart a little bit, if it falls apart a little bit, we're going to be... Who might be a little better? All right, Tavares and Eustace. Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping this stays away from everybody. It's been an awful, awful couple of days across the country in terms of the severe weather. And we need a break. This has been one crazy dynamic storm. So keep those comments coming. Tracy MK in St. Petersburg. We are doing okay right now. I do want to watch, I would say 45 minutes to an hour. We're going to have some nasty storms coming your way, and it looks like they are trying to take on some supercell characteristics. It's way too far out from the radar to see if it's really spinning, but it does have that kind of look, that hook echo look. State Road 52 US 41. Thunderous, but not raining that hard at all. Awesome. Again, just keep a close eye on that. And again, if you are watching this on YouTube and you know of anybody that's living in Central Florida, feel free to share this with them. If you are watching from clickorlando.com or on the News 6 app, again, we have a lot more information on the timeline here on clickorlando.com. So you can check that out. Again, Tornado Watch continues for everybody in Central Florida. until 4 o'clock in Central Florida. All right, Michael Thomas, 2 miles outside of Hernando. It's in that exact same spot you got pointed out. Okay, so please be safe as... All right, so let's see here. I think all in all, it's certainly the velocity couplet here. Just want to point this out here. That's no such thing. Please get that garbage off of this channel, okay? We're not going there. We're trying to give accurate weather information here. There is no man-made weather, okay? So don't even go there. We're going to check back in on holiday. And the worst of the weather, we're still in that severe thunderstorm warning, but we don't have anything too concerning, Davin, out in Holiday or Tarpon Springs, East Lake. I think the worst of the weather now is going to be to the east of you. Treasure Coast. All right, so we're going to go, we are under, I guess we're not under that tornado watch. The Treasure Coast is going to be looking a little bit better than the Space Coast and points to the west. The trend will be for this to really lose a lot of its oomph, if you will, as it moves from the west to the east. In Orlando, we're going to see the potential anyway for some nasty weather. We are also included in that tornado watch until 4 o'clock. I'll show you. That's what it looks like live right now in Orlando, those dark clouds. I don't know if anybody's been outside.
Welcome to the
But you
Cure
can
Bowl.
kind of see some of that wind shear in the atmosphere. And you can see some of that low-level wind speed we have kind of fueling this as well. Jesse is asking if Sarasota is safe. Our severe weather threat has not started yet in Sarasota. I would pay close attention, though. We are under that tornado watch until 4 p.m. until... It is not one. It is not. So sorry. So again, you can take that garbage elsewhere, please. Because we are a no garbage channel. All right, back to Kissimmee. Hey, what's going on, my man? We are going to take a look at Kissimmee. And again, we are officially in that tornado watch until 4 o'clock tonight. Everything or this afternoon, no matter how your perspective. All is quiet, though, right now. All is quiet. At the moment, we are going to be watching this line of thunderstorms, though. And somebody just asked just moments ago about Clearwater. I'm sorry, about Sarasota. And then we're going to be back into that severe thunderstorm warning now. That at least includes Clearwater. Sarasota, we aren't in that yet, but that was a new one that came on down. Point Siena, we are going to go check that out. And kind of the same deal as Kissimmee, we are just seeing the clouds right now. That red box you see on your screen is that tornado watch for us until 4 o'clock. And hey, Terry, in Bushnell, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel. So here we go in Bushnell. The tornado warning does not include us just yet. The worst part of this storm. And okay, so here's the deal. We're still under the tornado warning here. We need to be taking this seriously in Sumter County. So same for Hernando County as well. We need to be taking that seriously. So that's safe place. That is away from windows. That is closet, bathroom, cover your head. The good news is with this cell here is that we are really seeing the velocity couplet fall apart. We still have a little bit of spin here going toward a lot of strong winds moving up from the south. But again, we're not seeing it as tight or as dangerous as it was before in parts of central Hernando County. Still, though, in Bushnell, I want you to be paying close attention to this. because one thing we watch in this stage of the game, we want to check out the trends. If this holds together, or if this kind of pulses back up. A lot of times you see these things kind of fall apart. They look kind of ugly, and then kind of spin back up again. So we are going to be watching that over the next little bit of time. All right. Let me get back into the comments. Leesburg. All right, so right now we are okay. There's nothing too concerning. We just have some light rain. The worst of the weather is off to your southwest. Simon, where are you tuning in from, my friend? It depends on where you're at. Some of this is going to clear relatively quickly. I think it moves all out of the greater Central Florida area really by 4, maybe 5 at the most. But as we get deeper into the afternoon, that will start to fall apart. You got it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And again, if you are finding this channel on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube informative, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing as well. Again, that helps YouTube push this out to more people. We're trying to keep everybody out ahead of this nasty weather coming through. Into Polk County, into Lakeland, all again is quiet at the moment. We are also, though, under that tornado watch until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The most concerning storms here are in Hernando, stretching down toward Pinellas County as well. All right, so we're going to get up to, how about Pasco, Modular Home, any updates for Hudson? You got it. We're gonna go there now, and that's north or just around Bayonet Point, correct? So north of Bayonet Point into Hudson, things are looking much, much better. I don't want to say your severe threat is over just yet, but all of the nasty stuff, again, you're about right in here. All of that is kind of drifting. So where we still have that severe weather threat should be to your south and east. So again, I don't want to give you the all clear just yet, but if you have seen some of that light to moderate rain and that ugly look outside, the threat is gone down for you. Not completely zero yet, but really once this main push goes through, it basically turns to zero here. Okay, so I think you're looking good. Just make sure you're paying close attention to any kind of weather updates from the National Weather Service, and of course, we'll keep you we'll keep you posted here. All right, back to the comments. Shadow Dragon, new circulation just to the south. Let's go check in on that, because we have those other supercells we were watching over. There's one kind of embedded in here. There's another one just north of Clearwater. So let's turn on the velocity. Let's turn on some of our other tools here to see if we are picking up on any kind of spin. The computer is not seeing anything. All right, so the worst part of this storm now is getting ready to push into I-75. This is the one that's going to be exiting Hernando County pretty soon. And this is going to be the one moving into Sumter County. So we are going to watch that closely. Let me turn on another velocity product. There's still some. And again, we still have some shear popping back up. Really appreciate you. Okay, West Polk County. I think there will be in a little bit, maybe an hour or two. I'll turn on the regular radar again, and I'll zoom back out, and I'll show you where Polk is. We are, of course, right here in West Polk County. I know that's not the exact shape of Polk, but he said West Polk County. Anyway, here is the deal. I will put a timer on that. These are moving kind of like this. So, I mean, they're going to take their grand old time to get there. So this may be a few hours away. Maybe about an hour or two pushing through. So just keep that in mind, that we are still under the tornado watch until 4 o'clock. I don't think, Jorge, that we're talking strong tornadoes. I think if we do get any tornado touchdowns today, they're going to be brief. Certainly, they don't have to be strong, though, to produce damage. Okay, so I want you to know that, and I know you know that. But I don't think we're looking at huge tornadoes on a widespread scale anyway. I think if we do see something, it would be brief, it would be short-lived, and we would really have to change the environment a little bit to get that as well. All right, so let's see here. Very true about that. I'm sorry, Tracy. I forgot what town that you said you were in. If you could please remind me of that, we can get a little closer and look at that threat for you. The good news is, Jessica, right now in the Daytona area, we just have a gentle rain. So there's nothing really going on here in Daytona Beach, into DeLand, into Deltona. Welcome to everybody finding this live stream, whether it be from the push alert on the News 6 app. If you don't have that, it's a great tool to download. The Pinpoint Weather app is also a great tool. You can get those warnings right to your phone, and you can kind of track the storms alongside us during this live stream here with that app going forward. What we're going to do, we still have an active tornado warning. We're going to go back to, this is for Hernando and Sumter County until 11:30. Let's check this out. Sumter until 11:30. And see, that's how fast I lose my train of thought, because I was welcoming everybody to the live stream on YouTube. If you are finding us for the first time, welcome. We track these events live. So thank you for finding us, and thank you for trusting us for this. If you hit that thumbs up button, it helps YouTube see and push this out to more people so we can let them know we get real in-depth here. In some of this analysis to make sure that you know exactly what's going on, and I appreciate all of your reports that I'm getting here. So I really appreciate that, because that is very, very helpful. So let's just see. I'm going to check in on this one more time. Then I'm going to get back to the comments. So here's the deal. The rotation is definitely not as strong as it was before, as we are watching this kind of leave Hernando County and push into Sumter County. But we do still have some very strong winds. So you see that right there. We put that little dabber on, and we estimated winds of about 62 miles an hour. This is at a pretty good spot. It's likely a little bit lower than that because the radar beam is kind of shooting higher up in the sky. All right, St. Petersburg. We'll get back to the west. Sorry about that, Tracy. Thank you for letting me know again. A lot of stuff through, or a lot of stuff coming in. Appreciate that, Virgil. Thank you so much for tuning in and finding us. Whoops, it's a little noisy. All right, so let's see here. I'm just kind of looking at some of this in real time here. I'm heading back to the chat in just 1 second. Awesome in Leesburg. Again, heads up as we have that tornado warning. It's not in Leesburg just yet, but if this holds together, it's going to be there. And at the very least, we're talking about some pretty strong thunderstorms. Okay, so here's the deal with what we're seeing. As we check back in on this tornado-warned storm that goes until 11:30 now for extreme eastern Hernando County and into extreme western Sumter County. So just looking, okay, I'm going to get back into the comments. Sorry for that little pause there. Just kind of, again, watching all of this in real time with you, so we're kind of doing this all together here. Here, again, I was just about to mention that we do have that green speck getting a little bit. It's not super intense, but the computer, again, picking up on the stronger shear that is starting to redevelop again with this cell moving into Sumter County. And this is what we wanted to kind of find out from the trend here is, are we going to see this spin back up again, or is this going to pipe back down a little bit? And unfortunately, it's doing the former of that sentence, and it does look like it's trying to spin back up. The threat to Sarasota is coming in the next hour or so, and we are still under that tornado watch as well. We'll be on that probably even a little bit more than an hour. All of those strong storms are, again, here we are in Sarasota off to the right of your screen, and then they're way out here still, out over the Gulf. Could see some hail. You would need to get a really, really strong updraft on a day like today, though, to get the hail. The hail threat is on the lower side of these threats. All right, so here we go. Just momentarily, or just a little bit ago, we are that tornado warning has been canceled for Hernando and Sumter. Pasco County. Let's get up to Pasco County. Stand by, please, and I'm going to move the radar. People were asking about Orlando and Brevard County. So here's the deal about Orlando and Brevard. We are under a tornado warning, tornado watch. A watch means that conditions are favorable. The threat for tornadoes will go down the further away you are from the Gulf of Mexico, the further south and east you are of Orlando. That threat is still not zero. It's just a little bit lower. They are a little bit higher the closer to the coast you are. Let's see here. Let me scroll back up. Hope all goes well with that. Yeah, Bradenton might be a little rocking a little bit later. Hey, sorry, I missed your comment. What did you submit over to the Weather Service? I apologize. There was a lot of comments coming in, and I missed that. So forgive me about that, my friend. You can post in what you were talking about. Okay, so this is a good question, and I don't want to downplay the threat, but the environment is not even close to what it was along the North Gulf Coast yesterday in Central Florida. Certainly, there is enough juice and there's enough dynamics at play to get a couple of tornadoes in the mix today, but it's nowhere near to what those folks saw along the North Gulf Coast over the past couple of days. That was crazy town. The environment was extremely ripe for tornadoes, and we saw a lot of those, and unfortunately we saw fatalities in those, and hopefully we don't have a repeat performance of that, but I'm not expecting that. I'm not saying we're not going to get a tornado. I just don't think we're going to see it on the scope of what we witnessed yesterday in places like Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. Just awful stuff there. All right, reset. Getting back into the chat. Stand by. And then we're going to do some extra analysis here. Hey, Serena in Marion County. I think our severe weather threat is really coming down quickly. It's not completely over just yet, especially south and east of Ocala. But I do think our threat is starting to wind down already in Marion County. So, hey, what's going on, Augusto? Hope you are doing well. Again, our severe weather threat is coming down. Not completely over yet, especially, again, towards Ocala National Forest, southeast of Ocala. But we are starting to see the main of the stuff kind of push through down. Push out of Ocala, I should say. Let's see here. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I saw a few comments about the coverage. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to join this chat and for all of your reports that you were sending in from the rain in Daytona Beach to some of the lighter stuff in Polk County that we are seeing right now. That helps us out a lot here inside the station since we're kind of not seeing anything what is going outside. Pam, what is up in Cocoa? There is no imminent danger for us in Cocoa, but we are under that tornado watch until 4 o'clock. So I do want you to know that. And I want you to just, again, be mindful of what you're doing this afternoon. Be mindful, again, have a way to get any warnings. The threat will be getting lower the further east this line of thunderstorms pushes through, but still it's not going to be zero.
Producers in the lab real quick. So, Amanda said in the next 30 minutes, OPD is going to be putting out video in relation to the downtown shooting from a few weeks back. They've interviewed like 25 people.
Hey, in Charlotte County. Okay, so again, our threat comes up in a couple of hours. We are not included in that tornado watch, but it might just be, again, because we are talking about we're talking about that coming in a little bit later tonight. So there may be an extension of that pending that we see that continue. Hey, Bobby, what's going on in Orlando? Right now, it is all quiet. It's just a little gray. We are in a tornado watch until 4. We're in a tornado watch until 4 o'clock in Orlando. It's a little gray. It's a little ugly out there. That's certainly helping our cause to not see bad weather, but we still have a line of already embedded bad weather. You see that very big severe thunderstorm warning there in right along the I-75 corridor and points west. In Kissimmee in Orlando, we're going to have the chance anyway for I don't want to say chance for a tornado. The threat isn't sky high like it was in the deep south. It's not zero, though, and, of course, it is enough for the Weather Service to issue that tornado watch. They don't issue those lightly. Let's go, and I assume the one that we are, Hurricane Geek, the one that we are kind of looking at here. The good thing, I'm not seeing anything too concerning in terms of any kind of spin. I will want to watch this one here. We may have the beginnings of a tightening up couplet to the west of Dade City, in between Dade City and Bayonet Point. And then again, this is the old tornado warning here. It's still rotating. It's not tight. It's not as tight as it was, and that's why we don't have a tornado warning there anymore. And there you go. There's the computer kind of taking out that noise. Appreciate that, Mike. Thank you so much for tuning in, for finding us and helping out the chat and pointing things out. Dominic in Melbourne. Right now, we are quiet. I do want to stress that we are under that tornado watch until 4 o'clock. That means conditions are favorable for the development of tornadoes. Yeah, and Roger makes a good point here. More of that bow echo. So, and this is kind of what he's talking about. How we have some of those bowing segments. Again, you never like to see it bow either. That's indicative of some very, very strong wind gusts behind that leading edge there. Nonetheless, we don't want anything spinning either. That's worse. All right, let's see. All right, so Jorge is asking a really good question. The answer to how are conditions favorable for tornadoes compared to yesterday, basically they are non-comparable. Yesterday, I think the Storm Prediction Center could have issued a high risk, and they would have verified that. I mean, everything that was popping up yesterday was spinning. There were strong tornadoes on the ground. I don't know if you saw any of the video there. We are not looking at that. This is kind of marginally conducive for tornado development. The development chances are there. If we did have sunshine, I would say that it would increase it a little bit. But the main dynamics now of this system are kind of lifting up from the deep south in the Gulf states and lifting up toward the Mid-Atlantic in New England. This is going to go into helping to create now the secondary part of this storm, really like the fourth or fifth part of this storm. It started on Saturday on the west coast of the U.S., and now, again, we're still going to be talking about this through the weekend in the Northeast. It's going to blast parts of the Northeast with heavy snow, but those dynamics now are going to be lifting up rather than kind of digging down into Florida. If it was still digging in this direction, we would 100% be more concerned with the tornado development. And as we were talking about 5 minutes ago, saying that things were improving a little bit, the National Weather Service has even canceled that severe thunderstorm warning. So I don't know if you're trolling here, but don't be scared. No reason to be scared. Okay, so don't worry about that. If you're trolling, whatever. But don't be scared. All right. Okay, so the good question here, and Jeremy, I have good news for you if you are visiting for the next 5 days. Today is kind of the worst of your day. It's not going to rain all day today. We're going to get through this little push here. Probably at about, what time is it now? 11:30. From now, we're going to have some light showers, and then maybe for the next couple of hours. But then tomorrow, it just gets cold. And I don't know where you're visiting from, or maybe where you're visiting from, but it's going to get a little cold. It's cold for Florida standards anyway. Temperatures are going to be back into the 60s, but we're going to have a dry right into the weekend. So this is kind of your worst day, improving weather, albeit cool, through as well. Jorge, what is going on, my man, in Leesburg? It's not going to rain all day. A couple of hours max from where we are right now going forward. Then we're going to see those downpours shut off. We're going to see the thunderstorm shut off and then that risk shut off. All right, you saw it live right there. That yellow box pop back up. That's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning now. That does include Leesburg, although the worst part of this storm is going to be south of Leesburg, closer to Eustis, Ashtabula, Claremont, Mineola, right on down the Florida Turnpike. And it's likely because of what one of our friends here pointed out just a little bit ago, because of this like little bowing segment here. We're going to get back in there. We're going to check some things out. And look at the wind here. You see that big bright speck? This is just south of Webster. We should probably be included in that severe thunderstorm warning in Webster, because radar is estimating about 62 mile per hour winds in here. So it's really gusty right now, just south of Bushnell into Center Hill, Webster, Groveland, Claremont, this is your early heads up here. So that is going to be working into you. I will put a track on this in just... Will it be at Claremont? It will. This will move through Claremont. So let me put a timer on that for you right now, since I do have several people watching from Lake County, really from Leesburg. I know we have someone from Tavares here into Claremont. We're going to track this guy for you. All right, so here is your timeline into Claremont. That is the wrong box I wanted to grab. This is the one I wanted with the timeline to get this a little bit further out into the center. Okay, so Groveland, we're going to be up in about 20 minutes. Claremont in about 20 to 30 minutes. You're going to see the clouds get a little darker, and we are going to see, of course, the heavy rain get closer and then the strong winds. And again, there are really strong winds within that. Right behind this little bowing segment, this little bow echo we have here. The strong winds like to rush in right in behind where it bows. You may even have a little curlicue right on the top there. Okay, so Anthony has said spin observed a funnel forming south area of the villages east of Wildwood. So I don't know when that was, but there will be nothing able to support a funnel in and around the villages or west of Wildwood right now. This is all just kind of a chilly rain. If it was earlier, the potential was there, but there was nothing that concerning up there in that direction. So that is actually not the case at all, Roger. The shear doesn't have anything to do with the lift. That is all generated by the instability with the sun and the ocean out there. That's why we have these storms a little beefier out over the Gulf. When you actually have a highly sheared environment like we do today and not enough instability to kind of match that, the storms don't perform well. There needs to be, it's that Goldilocks scenario. It's, I always use, I love the cake analogy here, how you need a bunch of ingredients to make a cake. You need like the eggs, the milk, the sugar, all that stuff, or else it's going to taste pretty crappy. But on a day like today, we don't have everything in place. There's enough to certainly generate bad weather, and that's what we're seeing right now. But nonetheless, that's just not correct, and I just want to make sure everybody saw that in the chat. That's not what we have going on here. All right, so Land O'Lakes. So, yeah, out west, if we will go check back in on these. We were watching some rotation down here. We're going to turn the velocity back on. Still nothing too terribly concerning. Let's turn on the other markers here. And let's turn back on our wind shear. Go back to the Tampa radar, turn on the shear. All right, so where he was talking about the the funnel cloud in Atlanta Lake, that would have been consistent with where we were tracking that rotation. So that 100% makes sense. Hey, in Jacksonville, our threat is pretty low now. It's kind of past to our south, and it's kind of just kind of cool and dreary and damp. So it's not completely zero, but the storm is kind of already past, at least the worst of it anyway. We'll still see another kind of push, but it's just mainly some lighter stuff for us in Jacksonville. And we'll turn on the Jacksonville radar for you to show you that all the kind of ugly weather is just to our south. So this is a great question, Anthony. You can do a couple of things. If you have the Pinpoint Weather app, it is a free download. We have a section that has a camera icon in it, and there's also, I saw a couple of people asking about what's a good radar app to get your warnings as well. The Pinpoint Weather app, you can search that, search News 6 in your app store. It's free. You can upload the picture right to there, and you just make a quick little username if you don't have one already, and then you can submit all that stuff there. You can also just send it to weather@wkmg.com, but the best way to get the pictures to us so that we can show them to you is clearly the Pin It app. And we can quickly integrate those pictures into this live stream for you. So if you do have a picture of that, I would love to see it. So would love if you downloaded that app and sent it to us. All right. Clearwater, it's coming through, I think about right now at last check. So there we go. There was that funnel cloud that our friend was just talking about here where we were watching that cell. Let me get back to the... So it was about 20 minutes ago. Yeah, and so that was the cell that we were kind of watching. We were showing that rotation there. So obviously not enough to get it to the ground, thankfully, but enough to get it close. And that's what I was talking about before with those ingredients, that you kind of need all of that to kind of come together. For us in Clearwater, so it's kind of hitting you right now. On the north side, the worst of the stuff came through. Now it's into Largo, closing in on Pinellas Parks. Again, the good news is we don't have any severe weather in that part. We do have the warning, though, still for Lake County. So we are going to check in on that, especially around Claremont. This warning is going to go until 12:15. So what is that, about another 45 minutes? What's going on in Ocala? We are looking pretty good. I don't think we're going to see... I think our severe threat is over. So that was it. That was it for us, thankfully. The storm right now is far north of Fort Myers. A little bit later on, somebody asked earlier, and I didn't get to that in time a little bit ago, why wasn't part of Southwest Florida included in the tornado watch? It's one of two things. The environment becomes less conducive the further it moves away from the upper low, some of the dynamics that we have in the atmosphere, and that's lifting north. So that could be one of the reasons why the Weather Service did not extend it there. The other reason why, it's because it's going to be happening later in the afternoon. So if they do feel like one is warranted, it likely will be issued over the next couple of hours rather than this morning with this tornado watch that we have in play kind of right now. Someone asked what the radar product I was using. This is the Barron's radar system, the Barron radar system out of Alabama. All right, so what I want to do now, we have one active warning. We're going to turn on the velocity mode. We have some very strong winds. Okay, so this is kind of a new thing here on the last scan. If you remember about 5 minutes ago, we looked. So this is a good report, and thank you for that report, too, of the lightning picking up in South Lake. The storm is definitely intensifying, and it's definitely trying to spin again. So notice before I was showing you how strong the straight line winds were. We had all the winds going in one direction out of the south or southeast in this storm. But we have some greens popping back up now. We do have some of that wind shear. It's starting to increase over Webster again. So if anybody is watching in and around Webster, Center Hill, if you see the clouds rotating, let me know. But you might want to think about taking things inside, even though we are not under a severe thunderstorm warning at this time. Let me just check this out. Yeah, right around Webster. There's just a little bit. It is broad. It's not that strong. This has now moved past Land O'Lakes, but there was the report of a funnel cloud in Land O'Lakes. So not enough to get it all together to get it to the ground, thankfully, but it did produce a funnel cloud, so it was close. St. Petersburg, we are still looking okay at the moment. Again, still under that tornado watch. But the storms are getting closer. We'll get some nasty weather probably in the next 40, 45 minutes in St. Pete. Thank you for that report in Tampa. Plant City, we're going to go check. We are under that tornado watch until 4 o'clock. The nastiest stuff for you is still off to your west, Holly. Kind of draw a little thing. Again, there's nothing too concerning right now to the west in Plant City, but this is going to be close to you probably in about 30 to 45 minutes. So, Jessica, good question about Volusia County. We're not completely out of it. I think the storms will be weaker, though, because we've already kind of seen that ugly rain for the early afternoon. And that ugly rain helps to keep things on the calmer, tamer side. So I don't think it's going to be too strong for you. Let's see here. There won't be a tornado in Indiana. We're going to be beyond this system now. Is there still a tornado possibility near Newport Richey? I believe that threat has now moved inland. Yeah, so we are good. Our severe threat is basically over in Newport Richey. All of that is now to your east as that line pushed through. I think it has the possibility. We're going to go check in on that right now again. We're going to be watching this closely. You mentioned about... Yeah, so watch this next scan come in. I just got one. This is... What's going on? North of Ocala, you're good. You're good. Our severe threat's basically over. The main threat now is right on 50. If you're familiar in Lake County, and I forgot to check in on it, I mentioned it, someone reported, and forgive me, I forget who reported the lightning picking up. But there it is, a lot more lightning coming through in southern part, and that's when you see extra lightning starting to come back into play. that's one of the indications that we are seeing the storm intensify. It means it's growing. It means we have some ice in the cloud. We're separating those charges in there. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to contend with as well. Orlando, at this time, we are just watching a gentle rain. It looks kind of ugly. That is a live look in Orlando, Florida, downtown Orlando. You see the gray. There's some drizzle, some light rain, especially on the west side of town. Our severe weather threat is going to be coming up likely in about an hour, give or take, into downtown Orlando. This is just down the road, just down Highway 50, just getting ready to move into Claremont. We're going to go check in on that too, because there are some things that I do not like what is going on with this cell. Sharon, real quick, in Martin County, it will have the chance. I think for the most part, again, that threat is going to wind down. It's not zero, but we are not included in that tornado watch. It's just to your north in Brevard. Betty, hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for that report. What part, where are you watching from? You're starting to see a lot of thunder. Okay, good question here. And again, this is what I want you to pay attention to. We had a really unfortunate story in Central Florida earlier about somebody getting struck by lightning while they were waiting for their kids. I do think in Claremont, at that time, this is going to be past us. Our worst of the weather is going to be over the next, what is it now? It's 2 o'clock. There might still be lightning around by 1:30 in Claremont, but the worst of the weather is going to be pushing off to your south. So a great tool, and I caution this. Obviously, if you live in Florida, you know about how dangerous the lightning is. Even if you don't live in Florida, or even if you don't live in Central Florida, where you can see the WKMG News 6 signal on your television screen. I want to tell you about the best thing about the Pinpoint Weather app. Okay, it's a free download for one, so that's great. But the other thing is, too, it will tell you, I'm showing you the screen, and my screen isn't even up. I was doing this. Pinpoint Weather app, it's a great tool. It's free, but it will send you lightning alerts. So if you are near a place where it has detected lightning, it will send you lightning alerts. So I would urge everybody that's watching here, if you don't have the Pinpoint Weather app, and even if you don't live in the immediate Central Florida area, say you live in Tampa, say you live in Miami, Jacksonville, if you're tuning, or if you live in Mississippi, it'll find your location. You'll get the warnings from the National Weather Service, and you can use the radar. Our chief meteorologist, Tom Sorrells, used this when he was in England. So, I mean, it works no matter where you are. So the Pinpoint Weather app, again, a great tool for that. And you'll get push alerts from Central Florida in terms of the forecast area. You can shut those off and just keep the severe weather stuff so you don't have to hear about what the weather's doing in Central Florida if you're not there. Anyway, that's my spiel. Download the Pinpoint Weather app. It is a fantastic tool, potentially life-saving tool as well when there's lightning around, and you can get your warnings from that direction. We are going to get back into this thing here. From a regular velocity perspective, we're starting to see that pulse back down again, so that's what I like to see. Strong winds, though, in and around coming into Claremont, Muscat, Mineola, Astatula, Montverde. It's strong. I mean, we're seeing severe gusts out there. If you are just joining us on YouTube, welcome. Again, we are tracking this live weather situation here. A tornado watch for most of Central Florida until 4 o'clock. We've had one tornado warning produce a funnel cloud. It did not touch down, but we've had a couple of reports of that happening. Right now, everything, we have one severe thunderstorm warning for Lake County. That includes Leesburg, Tavares, Eustis, Claremont, Mineola, right on the Orange County line. So if anybody's watching from Orange County or downtown Orlando, everything's kind of tame right now. But we'll have some nasty stuff kind of pushing in just from the west, pretty much riding the turnpike. Here's the turnpike right on in. And that's generally moving in that direction. So the worst of the weather coming through. I've had a lot of questions about Port Orange and Daytona Beach. You guys are looking pretty good. Again, I like the fact that we have kind of gotten into this really ugly morning and afternoon on a severe weather potential day. You want it to look ugly. You want it to be cloudy. You want it to be showery and gray and all that stuff because it does limit the instability. There are days where that doesn't matter if the dynamics are so good. We have part of the dynamic story to tell today, but it's certainly not as bad as it was before. All right. Let's see here. So, good question here from Timothy. The difference between springtime tornadoes rather than winter tornadoes, there really is not a difference. I always say Mother Nature doesn't care what month it is. If the ingredients are there, you will get that same weather. And that's what we had. We had a springtime weather setup in the deep south, a big dip in the jet stream coming through. And a lot of times we can get this bad weather at this time because we have the changing seasons. We have the Arctic cold blasting in the northern tier. We still have the Gulf warmth in the southern states. And it's that clash of the warm and cold air. Certainly that's much more common to happen as we're transitioning into spring. But November, anyway, is known as the second season, especially in the Deep South, the second season for severe weather. Garrett has pointed out about a nasty cell near St. Petersburg. We're going to head back to the west. Certainly, we have a lot of lightning there, and we are going to get into this. We're going to switch back to the Tampa radar. And, yeah, so this is going to be ugly here. Let's turn on the velocity. The good news is, relatively speaking, that we don't have the wind going in different directions. Wind being estimated here of about 45 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour. Pinpoint weather app, you got it. Great tool. It's awesome. Thank you all the guys responding to the trolls. I appreciate that a ton. Sandy and Mineola, we're going to get back right over to you. Certainly a nasty thunderstorm coming in St. Pete Beach, St. Petersburg, eventually into Tampa. We're going to get right on into Mineola. Here's all the lightning. And again, you have lightning close by, just over the turnpike. Another strike near Groveland. The worst of this system, or this little cell, is just to your west still. Let's take our little dabber back out and estimate the winds. It looks like they may have come down slightly. Still, though, pushing severe limits. But I don't see any... rotation. Certainly could still cause some damage. Let's see if there are any storm reports with that. Just the one that popped up here. Okay, Safety Harbor. Sorry, my man. I keep going over that because we keep on getting some extra data coming through. We're going to be watching Port St. Lucie. It will be impacted. I don't think it's going to be too bad. We're not in the tornado watch in Treasure Coast, but there's still that slight chance. That threat is much lower than even what we're seeing on the west coast, the Gulf Coast of Florida. Brevard County is going to be up in a couple of hours. We'll take a closer look at that in just a second. T is mentioning we have some thunder near UCF. We'll go take a look at that. I want to look at Safety Harbor real quick. It's somebody asking about that. And then in the Safety Harbor area, there's nothing severe right now, but there is a nasty storm that's going to be closing in over the next few days, next few hours, next few minutes. It's one of those timestamps that I just mentioned. Okay, so thank you for that report. Just saw some clouds rotating in Safety Harbor. So let's see if we've gotten that. There may be a little dropout in here. There's a little bit of rotation showing up on radar. right around Treasure Island specifically. So yeah, pay attention. Again, the worst of your weather is obviously coming through right now. Hey, Dalton, do me a favor and let me know where you're watching in from, and then I can better answer that question for you. Thank you for that report in Plant City. We'll take a look. Someone mentioned about Haines City in Davenport area. We do have, again, that tornado watch until 4 o'clock as well. The good news is nothing off to your west is extremely concerning. There's some nasty thunderstorms out there. There's nothing severe right now, though. Welcome to Central Florida. We would love to have you along for the ride again for your weather and news information. ClickOrlando.com, News 6 can be your new trusted station. So hit us up there. And, of course, thank you for joining this live stream. Clearing up in Clearwater. I love it. Thank you for that report. Hey, appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm glad so far things have been relatively tame. I know we've had a couple of warnings out there, but just a funnel cloud. We don't want that thing on the ground. Another good question from Timothy, bringing all the good question. He asked, what's the difference between straight line winds and tornadoes as far as damage? So the one thing I was talking earlier when some people like to say, oh, it's only a severe thunderstorm warning versus a tornado warning. And certainly tornado warnings are very, very ugly. It's very gone. I need to, I was referring to this. My guy Kobe was like, that coat gone. Yeah, my voice is about to be gone too. Got carried away. Anyway, the difference is when you start to get up into like the EF2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s, certainly that is way, way above a straight line wind. But you can have straight line winds as strong as certainly an EF0 tornado, which is about 60 to 80 miles per hour. And then even north of 100 miles an hour. Sometimes even about 115, 120 in extreme wind events over an area. So, for instance, if you are downloading the Pinpoint Weather app, if you're taking my advice here and downloading that app, I just got the push alert that there was lightning nearby. I don't know how much you can see that because the ring light is like blurring things, but it literally just told me that lightning is right nearby, and there's a little strike. The camera won't focus on it, but that little yellow thing there. So, seriously, great tool there. Pinpoint Weather app. Highly recommend it, even if you don't live in Florida. All right. So my guy Kobe, I have now went over to Gatorade because the Coke is gone. Awesome, Lori, in Altamont Springs. Okay, so we're going to watch that closely. Right now, it's just a nice, gentle rain. So there's nothing concerning right now. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning right back off to your west. We'll see if that holds together. It has shown signs of weakening again. Got a question about, do I think there is rotation in Treasure Island? We're going to go take a look at that because it looked like there was a little bit before. I love Treasure Island. That part of Florida is some of my favorite. We do. Okay. right around Pasadena. It's kind of inland now of Treasure Island, just to the west of St. Pete. Yeah, so we definitely do. There probably should be at least a severe thunderstorm warning on this because, I mean, yeah, we're estimating wind speeds of about 60 to 65 miles an hour. First off, that's awesome. Appreciate you. Thank you for that report. So as we kind of look off into okay, also kind of like good breaking news here. The tornado watch has been canceled now for Marion County and for Flagler County. So we had a lot of people asking about Marion specifically. We were saying about an hour ago that threat was over, and now the official tornado watch has been canceled now for Marion and Flagler County. So your severe threat is way, way over. Our news station is based out of Orlando, Florida. And right now we are looking all over. Ben asks, is Tampa prone to tornadoes? And the answer to that is not likely, but certainly with tropical systems coming ashore, that helps to enhance that risk. And then these supercells from the cold fronts, like we saw today, that's where we typically get a lot. I think it was, if I'm remembering correctly, it was either last year or the year before where we had, there was at least one, and I think came through Pinellas Park and did a lot of damage out there. Speaking of which, though, there should be at least a severe thunderstorm warning on this, but this is showing signs of spinning. Let me turn on there it is. So there should be at least a severe thunderstorm warning right around St. Petersburg. So if you are watching in St. Petersburg, okay, this little big brown reddish blob on your screen here indicating where the computer is seeing strong rotation, and that's exactly what we saw here right in here. So we might, again, and I think somebody had mentioned that they saw the clouds. Okay, rain, clouds spinning. Okay, rain starting up, wind picking up in Ruskin, south of Hillsboro. Thank you for that report. Alejandro, the hail threat is very, very low. For the big hail days, you need to have a ton of instability, and we just don't have that component of this severe weather threat today. So that is one thing. It is. I did, Tammy. I did. Here's why. It's all gone. Ran out. Transition to Gatorade. After that, I'm going to be running all the way out. Excellent comment, Rusty, about the tornadoes can happen anywhere. It's one of the biggest risks. We were watching yesterday two myths be broken. The two big ones, that they can't cross rivers. That tornado near New Orleans yesterday, that crossed the Mississippi. And it also went through a downtown area. That's another myth, that tornadoes don't go through the downtown area. They most certainly do. Happened in Atlanta 2005, 6, somewhere in that ballpark. And then, of course, it happened twice this year now in New Orleans. Pretty much the same area. Crazy, crazy video. Don't do that, man. That makes me upset. Pay attention to the weather all the time. So I don't want to say the chances aren't zero. They're not crazy high. Again, when we saw a very decent, tight velocity couplet, I don't want to say only produced a funnel cloud, but it did not touch down. So that gives me some encouragement here. But again, the environment is really kind of changing. Thank you, Robin. Were you able to submit that picture? I can check here if you did, or submit the video. Let me pull this back out, and we're going to check on that severe thunderstorm that is just to the west of Orlando. We're going to switch back to the Melbourne radar. This does not look that healthy. Good stuff here. I love it. Thank you for that report. That helps a ton in South Lake County. We can head back to probably better off using the Tampa radar here. Yeah, it's gusty around Claremont, but we have seen these estimated wind gusts also come back down. So some positive as well. That, again, I think that overall is in the whole, it was raining and cloudy most of the day right in interior Central Florida, and it's my hope there that has kind of zapped a lot of the juice. And I'm loving that. All right. Let's see here. Back to the chat. So the question is, are tornado warnings common in Florida? They're not common. We're certainly known for our lightning much more than our tornadoes, but especially when we have these strong cold fronts come through in the wintertime, we can get them. And then most of the time, our tornadoes come from a landfalling tropical system. You increase the wind shear there. They're the more of the, relatively speaking, low-grade ones that can still cause a lot of damage. Saw that a lot with Hurricane Ivan, especially back in 2004. That was a prolific tornado producer, not only for Florida and the Deep South, but all the way up through Virginia as well. Still the record holder for number of tornadoes produced in a hurricane. Yes, okay. So, good question. Sorry, I know you asked it before. I was trying to find it, and I couldn't find it, Kia. So, thank you so much for asking that again. You can't predict really what EF it's going to be. It's a post scale. You can estimate what the gate-to-gate shear is, as we call it, kind of how strong the winds are going in one direction and how strong the winds are blowing back in the other direction. So that's kind of what we see here. And it just got really, really dark in the newsroom because we were right in downtown Orlando where some of that ugly rain has started to fall. But the Weather Service goes in there with some building code inspectors as well, and they rate the tornadoes after the fact. So that EF scale that we have, that enhanced Fujita scale, is it's a damage survey. So it's based upon the damage. A lot of studies goes into what type of wind does what damage into what building material. So it all goes in. It's a very complex process, but the Weather Service goes out there and rates those. So you really don't, and it's inappropriate. I know some meteorologists do this. They kind of like, oh, this is an EF2, this is an EF3. You can't do that. You can't base it off a radar. You can estimate how strong the winds are, but yeah, I hope that answers your question. It kind of got on a little bit of a ramble here. All right, so we're going to head back down here. This is the cell that we were just on. Again, so we were saying before that there should have been a warning on this cell around Gulfport, St. Petersburg. So thank you, Garrett, again, for pointing that out, that they did that since we were focusing on interior Central Florida. This is what this is what I'm talking about. You guys are super helpful, so I appreciate all of the reports that are coming in. It helps us kind of get what's going out there to get the ground truth, so I really appreciate it. Again, if you are finding this channel for the first time, we are News 6, Click Orlando. We are based out of Orlando. We talk about the weather really everywhere, so please hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and give this a thumbs up. It helps YouTube push it out more, and it's been awesome meeting everybody today, and I'm glad that so far that we have not seen anything destructive, and I'm getting a little more cautiously optimistic here that we're gonna get through this pretty okay, even though we have a tornado watch around. All right, so back out towards Pinellas Park in St. Pete. Certainly some really concerning stuff. Right on through St. Petersburg, Gulfport. A lot of lightning. I don't see the wind too terribly strong. I mean, that's gusty. But I do think it was a little bit more severe before. We were estimating the 60-mile-per-hour winds and all of the above, because of the fact that, I don't know, it looks a little weaker right now. But again, severe thunderstorm warning for Pinellas, and this goes into, yeah, Pinellas County, where it said lake before. I still had my cursor on this one. All right. I'm going to get back to the chat room. Love it, and we love the gentle rain. We'll take that. Hey, what's going on in Windermere? We are going to check out Windermere for you right now, and all is quiet. All is tame. We're going to be watching this cell that's in Lake County just to your west, but for right now, we just have that kind of ugly day. Jessica, what do you mean by that? I'm interested in to get more clarification so that we can do a better job on that. So I would love to know what you mean so that at least if we do that here, we can improve upon that to make your viewing experience better and so that you can, of course, get the best information possible. Perfect. That's awesome. Thank you so much again for tuning in as well. All right, Sandy and Mineola, thank you again for all of your reports today. There it is. There's the heavy rain that Sandy is reporting in Mineola. It looks like I make sure my lightning tracker is turned on. We have lost a lot of the lightning in Lake County. Again, that is great news. That means that these things are going on a weakening trend. When they start to get highly electrified like that, they're getting more intense. So we like to see this weakening trend continue. Love it. You got it. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Was that from last night in Biloxi? I have not looked. I've not looked at the official tornado reports from yesterday and last night yet, because I've been focused on the upcoming severe weather threat for Central Florida. But I am going to check those out before. Yeah, it's crazy. So the age-old saying, have you ever heard of red sky morning, sailor take warning? That weather folklore holds true when you see a red sky like that, and it was crazy. And if you do have any pictures of that, I would love it if you guys download the Pinpoint Weather app. And in that Pinpoint Weather app, not only you can get all of the information, if there's lightning nearby, if there's rain nearby, our forecast, the radar right in the palm of your hand, but there's also a little camera icon in the bottom of the app where you can submit pictures to us, and it's the best way to get your the photos to us so that we can see what's going on with the weather and to show everybody else what's going on with the weather, to get them on YouTube, on clickorlando.com, and, of course, on TV. So I would love it if you have a great picture to download the Pinpoint Weather app and to use that Pin It feature. Again, there are a lot of things that make this the best weather app in the market. I am biased, but I like it and I use it a lot. All right, have a couple of comments about Oviedo. We're going to head on over to Oviedo, and here are some of those lightning strikes that you are seeing again right now. Loving this in Winter Springs, Altamont Springs, Winter Park. I just combined two cities there. Oviedo, we're looking good right now. There's that lightning strike just to the north of Bithlo. Somebody mentioned about in UCF, they were seeing some lightning and hearing some thunder. But so far, so good. I'll take this any day. I mean, it's not the prettiest day to be outside, but with the gray out there, with the gray skies, I appreciate that, and welcome aboard. We love having you. Timothy is bringing it with the questions today. I love it. I love it. Let me just make sure that there's nothing concerning out here real quick, and then we can get into that. We have the one lone severe thunderstorm. Let's watch. Let me just check in on Zephyr Hills, Dade City real quick to make sure that this is behaving. We'll go back to the Tampa radar real quick. Okay, I'm not seeing anything too terribly concerning. I have just a little bit of shear being picked up along this line, but I like that it is linear, meaning that it's all kind of up. So Timothy asked, what type of clouds produce tornadoes? And we're looking at the cumulonimbus clouds. Those are the big, puffy clouds that start off growing in the sky and kind of look like cauliflower. And then they get really big. So those are the cumulonimbus clouds. And wind shear is basically the turning of the wind with height. So, for instance, on a day like, especially like Louisiana, they had winds at the surface coming out of the south and east. And then up about 5,000 feet, the winds were kind of turning a little bit with height, 2 more out of the south. And then way up, kind of like where jet aircraft fly, those winds were about 10 to 50, were out of the southwest. So you have that turning of the wind with height. That creates a rolling motion in the atmosphere like this. And then given other ingredients, that rolling tube can then be forced down to the ground, and then that is your tornado. So it's all about that wind shear, wind coming in different directions, and you can kind of see some of that a little bit today if you're outside. Somebody mentioned about the fast-moving clouds. You could kind of see that. And there's either directional shear with the changing of the winds with height, or we have changing of the speed with height as well. So a lot going on, but a great, great question. So currently, Nikki, the most dangerous weather, and it's not that dangerous. And the good news is the severe thunderstorm warning that was in Lake County has been allowed to expire. So we are looking good now. The most dangerous stuff is down here, I would say, towards Zephyr Hills. There's no warning. Let me make sure that this isn't trying to spin up by Zephyr Hills. It looks like we're trying to get that little... may just be that look, kind of like a little bow echo here. And yeah, this is what we're seeing here. This is a big bow echo. So here's Tampa, where somebody mentioned it was pouring. And I think you're going to have a great day tomorrow. Hey, Mike, what's going on again in Brevard County? So the threat isn't zero. We, of course, have not had the ugly rain. We are in that tornado watch, and there's really not much going on right now. And all that stuff. But I think as a whole, it's on the lower side. Again, we're still officially in that tornado watch. We will see, since we have not really seen some of the ugly weather. We've been dry out here, that we might have a better atmosphere once this line gets through. So we're really going to have to watch from about Orlando to Lakeland, Fort Meade, Avon Park, Yeehaw Junction, into Sebastian, right down in here to see if the energy has anything out. Good stuff there. Poppy, we're going to go check in on Bradenton for you. So your worst of the weather is going to be moving through in a little bit. It's just some light rain right now. But you kind of see there's Anna Maria Island, Bradenton. There's the line. It's kind of moving in this direction. So I would say about 30 minutes to an hour. Chances of a tornado in Polk County, I think overall are pretty low. It's not zero. And again, we have enough of the stuff in the atmosphere to kind of get tornadoes going. That's why we have this tornado watch until 4 o'clock in Polk County. Depending upon what part of the county you are on, we will see. I mean, we have some of it already entering north of Lakeland. Alejandro in Claremont. It is pouring. There it is. There it is. Coming down. We can check in on some of those rain rates. And there it is. We're going to turn the dabber on. So look how heavy it's raining. 7.2 inches an hour, 4.7 inches per hour. That means that if this stayed over us for an hour, we get about 4 to 5, 6, 7 inches. So that's a lot of rain coming down. So as mentioned, again, you don't need me to tell you it's raining heavy when you can look out your window. But anyway. So I will say that they aren't predictable in the sense where, like, you're not going to know exactly where they're going to drop, but you can you can highlight if it's a good environment for them or not, and if we're going to have the storm structure. And if supercell structures are formed and you have the changing of the winds with height, you do a pretty good job of figuring out how close we're going to get to those storms. Hillsboro, we are going to check back in there. Our severe weather threat is going to come to an end shortly. We're in the thick of it right now. There's the nastiest stuff with that warning now. Just southwest of Tampa. A lot of lightning, though, in and around Pinellas Park, St. Pete. We also have a ton of lightning again coming back into southern Lake County. Let's go check up on that one, make sure it's behaving. A nice little push here of some stronger winds. So about 50 to 54, 55 mile per hour winds. Here's Claremont, where we have another couple of lightning strikes. And the strongest weather here going to push towards that. Somebody asked about Ocoee. We're going to get you over to Ocoee. Right now, just a couple of light showers, maybe a few downpours embedded. But this stuff coming out of Claremont is rolling through here. I'm going to put a timer on it for you. And I need my handy-dandy drawing tool. And this is basically going to head down 50 right into Ocoee. So there is a timeline for you. Montverde, about 5 minutes. Apopka, 15, 20 minutes. Oakland at about 15, 20 minutes. South side of Apopka in about 20. Winter Garden. Forest City, 30 minutes. Windermere, we had a couple of questions about Windermere. And again, I know it's raining there now. I'm timing in some of the heaviest stuff. Aiden is asking, will it affect Brevard? This will. I do think we'll go on a weakening trend. Just be mindful that we are in a tornado watch in Brevard until 4 o'clock. So I want you to know that, to just pay attention to those changing weather conditions. But I do think, again, that we'll have the chance for an isolated strong thunderstorm in the mix. Same for us in Kissimmee. Let's go check out Kissimmee. We'll get all this stuff off here. And any news on Orlando, we're going to take a live look in Orlando. Orlando is, the sky cam there is overlaid up top above my head. That is downtown Orlando, and it is ugly. But that is a good thing on a day like today, where we have some of the dynamics in place to develop, for tornadoes to develop. When you have the clouds, this fog, this gray stuff, I mean, looking behind me here, it is raining nicely. That is really going to help to lower the overall severe threat. So that is some good news. Same deal as well in Winter Park. Again, that is how it looks. There is, again, downtown Orlando with our live look. I'll get you back to the radar and kind of show. Somebody mentioned about Winter Park. Same kind of deal. There will be a couple of lightning strikes, so please be careful. I can't say with certainty that Brevard is going to get a tornado. There is a risk. It is a small one. If I had to bet, I would say no, but still, I want you to make sure that you are paying close attention as well. Sarasota is looking better, I think. We can head back out west to the Gulf of Mexico, right along the Gulf Coast. My bad. I was thinking of Clearwater before when I said that we were. So Sarasota, our severe weather threat is going to come up over the next hour or so. Here we are in Sarasota. Highlight that on the map. There are the thunderstorms out over the Gulf that are going to be heading in this direction. So again, right now everything is nice and quiet in Sarasota, but you're good. Really appreciate that. Great to have you on board. Really appreciate you joining in. And thank you again for posting that in the comments. Thank you for that report in Winter Park. And again, where we are seeing in Winter Park, there's nothing strong, there's nothing severe, but there is that lightning strike. We're going to get real down. This is what you just heard in Winter Park. Let me pull out my telestrator here. You can kind of see there's that. So there are lightning strikes in there. So that was the lightning strike that you saw. Lake Mary, I am happy to report that I think our severe weather threat is quickly winding down. Notice, though, we are still seeing some lightning. Somebody sent us a report just a little bit ago in, but all that stuff in Pinellas. Let me get out of here. Let me take a look at Pinellas real quick about the tornado watch question. Temperatures are, so Pinellas, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. I think soon they will see that come down soon. Our tornado threat's going down quickly in Pinellas County. It might take a little bit. The Weather Service is busy kind of inspecting these storms like we are doing right now. So just keep that in mind. Let me just check to see new update here. Velocity. Things are looking okay. Tampa. Things are going in one direction like that. Raining and thundering in Kissimmee. Thank you a ton for that. Let's head back to Kissimmee. And that's crazy. I mean, this is so cool, the lightning detection here. That's from there's the lightning strike. There's the thunder that you just heard just south of Kissimmee. So there it is popping up on the lightning detection map that we have for you. We have more lightning. So here's the deal. Even though there's nothing severe in eastern Seminole County, Sanford, we still do have lightning strikes. So again, be mindful of that. Like if you're planning on going out, still there's embedded heavy rain and there are lightning strikes around, okay? So while we're not talking about any kind of severe weather at this point, watch out for the lightning. Again, we've already seen a lot of nasty situations with lightning this year, fatalities, injuries. The lightning is no joke. Well, the best part to be safe from a lightning strike is to not be outside. If you stay inside, and that's why, again, when you see all that stuff, when you see a storm coming, right, you need to get inside. The car will keep you safe as well. If you're not touching the sides of the car. Again, common misconception, it's not the rubber in the tires that keep you safe. It's because of the metal cage around the car. The charge, if your car is hit, it will go around your vehicle and spare you from the charge. Longwood, Sanford area and DeLand. All right. So here we go. We're going to go back to, we're looking good. We're looking good. We're still technically in that tornado watch. Longwood, our severe threat is still there for a little bit. It's minimal. It's still there. DeLand, I think we're basically about over, even though we're still in a tornado watch. I think we're about over there. I think the severe threat is now from just south of Daytona Beach, south of DeLand, into Claremont, and then back into this area. I think we just saw a lightning strike on that sky cam there that we have. Oh, yes, we did, and I will show you where it is on. So, again, some lightning moving into the metro. We've already had some reports. Somebody asked about a Metro West, so I apologize. I haven't gotten there. We can zoom back in, and again, there's really nothing concerning in and around any part of the metro into Metro West. I'm not sure what part specifically of Metro West that you would like, but we're looking pretty good. Juan in Polk County. Let's go check that out. Still in a tornado watch, okay? So this is where I want you to pay attention to here over the next couple of hours here. And we'll probably wrap up this stream in about 5 or 10 minutes. And if there is anything concerning, again, we're going to hop back on again. So, again, please make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you give this a thumbs up. And anytime that we go live or post new content, we'll post a lot of weather content in addition to new stuff. But you'll see me a lot with the weather content. So it's been great meeting everybody and getting to know everybody here. And, again, thank you so much for the reports. Like that one, that has helped. This comment made me laugh. I love it. Pouring north of Lakeland, Haines City. We are in that tornado watch as well until 4. The nastiest weather is just about, it's on the north side. Haines City, I believe we are north. Polk City. Going to watch this little guy closely. All that darker red and green there. Haines City, Davenport area into Dundee, Lake Hamilton, same kind of deal. Just some light to moderate rain. The lightning is back off to your west. I'll put that into motion for you. Preach. Preach. You got it, man. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for helping out with the live stream. Be careful again. Just some really heavy rain. I think you're going to be okay if you're heading there in the next few minutes. I don't know where you're driving in from, but it's relatively light now. But it's going to get really, really heavy all up and down I-4. Alrighty, guys. There are no active severe thunderstorm warnings right now. The one just north of Tampa, or just north of St. Pete, just south of Tampa, has been allowed to expire. Hey, what's going on? Brevard County looking. Well, thank you for finding us. Brevard County, I think all in all, we're going to be okay. There's going to be some nasty thunderstorms moving through over the next couple of hours. We are in a tornado watch until 4 o'clock, meaning that conditions are favorable for the development of tornadoes. I do think, though, with the gray skies that we're seeing, it's going to help to limit that threat, a little bit. But I want you to make sure that you're paying attention. Pinpoint Weather app is a great tool in case we do have any warnings issued for Brevard County a little bit later. And, of course, we will hop back on here and then be live on News 6 on the television as well, if that were to happen. So in the short term, just want to go over this one more time, and then I got to run and get stuff done for the afternoon. Of course, if there is any threatening thing, we're going to hop right back on here. So please, if you found this informative, if you love the conversation that we are having here, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the thumbs up. Let's YouTube send this out to more people next time so we can meet more people out there. I really appreciate you and all the reports. Just one more thing, where you're seeing the red here, that is where we have a tornado watch, meaning conditions are favorable for the development of tornadoes, although I like that we have this Mornican shield line and we've had some scattered showers, so I think, relatively speaking, that threat is on the lower side. Worst of the weather now is west of Orlando, west of Lakeland, extending down into Tampa, into St. Pete, right in this narrow line. There's a lot of lightning in there, and then just to the south of Deltona. All of this is then going to be moving in that direction, and there is a timeline for you. A few minutes away from Ocoee from getting into some of the heavier stuff. Windermere about 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes away. Lockhart about 10. Lakeland about 10 to 15 minutes as well. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this live broadcast of the severe weather potential in Florida. Thankfully, so far, we have not seen any. We've seen report of a funnel cloud right on the Gulf Coast of Florida, but thankfully we have not seen anything severe, anything damaging, or at least anything damaging. We have had several warnings, though. So anyway, thank you guys a ton for tuning in. Again, if you want to continue this conversation, hit me up on Twitter. It is at Jonathan Kegas. I'll post that in the comments, and you can give me a follow there, and then we can continue this conversation if you have any questions over on the Twitter sphere. And then if this gets nasty again, we'll hop on again anytime this happens. We're going to hop on to go live. So if you're interested in that, please hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you here. And thank you so much for all of your reports and for the conversations that we've been having, over the last 2.5 hours. Time flies when you're having fun and hopefully and not seeing tornadoes develop. So we were able to talk a lot about meteorology and a lot about the science behind it and track these storms and thankfully not have any ramifications. Again, got close north of Tampa, east of Bayonet Point with a funnel cloud being reported, but thankfully no damage, and that is what makes me happy. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. We'll catch you next time.